The ship's warning system blared with such intensity that Fleet Commander Vex Torunn nearly spilled his scalding hot stimulant all over the command console. Typical. 3 cycles of uneventful space patrol, and the universe decides to throw something interesting at him precisely when he's trying to enjoy his first break. Would someone please shut that blasted noise off before my head splits open? Vex barked, wiping droplets of the black liquid from his uniform. And someone tell me what in the 7 moons we are dealing with. Lieutenant Mira Paz, his second in command, rushed to the main scanner station. Her 4 eyes blinked rapidly in sequence as she processed the incoming data. Sir, we have detected an unknown vessel approaching from Sector 47G, she reported, her voice rising with each word. It's not matching any known configuration in our database. Vex snorted. So, the Jurians have finally decided to upgrade their garbage scows? Color me impressed. No, sir, Mira replied, her voice dropping to a whisper. It's not Jurian. It's not from any known species in the Galactic Federation. The command deck fell silent. In the 3,000 years since the founding of the Federation, no new sentient spacefaring species have been discovered. The implications were staggering. Well, Vex said, setting down his cup with exaggerated care. I suppose we should say hello before someone gets a promotion for shooting first, shouldn't they? He straightened his uniform and cleared his throat. Open a communication channel. Standard greeting protocols. Let's not embarrass ourselves in front of the newcomers, shall we? The communications officer, a nervous young Pelderin named Jax Borix, fumbled with the controls. Channel open, sir. Broadcasting on all standard frequencies. Vex stepped forward, adopting what he hoped was a dignified posture. Attention, unknown vessel. This is Fleet Commander Vex Torunn of the Galactic Federation ship Eternal Vigilance. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. The view screen remained blank for several agonizing seconds before flickering to life. What appeared made Vex's mandibles drop open in shock. The creature on screen was unlike anything he had ever seen. It stood upright, with pinkish-beige skin covering most of its body except for the top of its head, which featured a patch of dark fur. Its face was flat, with eyes set horizontally rather than vertically or diagonally like most sensible species. Greetings, the creature said in surprisingly clear galactic standard. I am Captain Thomas Donovan of the Earth Exploration Vessel Horizon. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations. Vex blinked all 3 of his eyes in rapid succession. Earth? Never heard of it. Which star system are you from? The alien, this human, as it called itself, seemed amused. We are from a small solar system about 30 light years from here. 3rd planet from our sun. We are relatively new to interstellar travel. Obviously, Vex muttered under his breath. Then louder, well, Captain Donovan, welcome to Federation space. I must inform you that unregistered vessels are subject to inspection before proceeding further. Standard protocol, you understand? Of course, the human replied. We anticipated such measures. We are prepared for inspection and have compiled informational packages about our species and civilization. Vex turned to his crew with a raised eyebrow ridge. Well, isn't that convenient? They are prepared for everything. Makes you wonder what they are hiding, doesn't it? Mira shot him a warning glance. Sir, might I suggest we follow first contact protocols? This is a historic moment. Yes, Vex waved dismissively. Historic moment, future of the galaxy, blah, blah, blah. Prepare the boarding shuttles. I want a full security detail, science team, and diplomatic corps ready in 20 minutes. As the crew scrambled to prepare, Vex stared at the strange vessel on the view screen. It was sleek, with smooth lines that somehow managed to look both primitive and advanced simultaneously. Nothing like the practical, angular designs preferred by Federation engineers. Sir, Mira whispered, approaching his command chair. Do you think they're dangerous? Vex snorted. Mira, look at them. They have no protective exoskeleton, no natural weapons I can see, and they have built a ship that's practically a target practice dummy. If they wanted to attack us, they have chosen the worst possible design for it. Still, she insisted, there's something odd about them. There's something odd about every species the first time you meet them, Vex replied. Remember how you thought the Khazarians ate their young just because they carry them in those mouth pouches? Myra's scales flushed a deep purple with embarrassment. That was different. I was fresh out of the academy, and now you're about to meet your first new species. Try not to accuse these humans of any barbaric practices until we have at least had dinner with them. The boarding party assembled in the shuttle bay, a mix of the ship's best security personnel and scientists. Vex insisted on leading the delegation himself, despite protocol suggesting otherwise. If these humans turn out to be important, I'm not letting some junior officer take credit for first contact, he explained to an exasperated Mira. Besides, someone needs to make sure nobody does anything stupid. Yes, sir, she replied. That's usually my job when it comes to you. The shuttle journey to the human vessel was brief but tense. As they approached, Vex couldn't help but admire the strange beauty of the ship. It gleamed with an almost organic quality, as if it had been grown rather than built. Scanning shows their hull is composed of some kind of composite material, the science officer reported. Remarkably strong for its weight. And there's something else. Unusual energy readings throughout the ship. What kind of energy? Vex asked, suddenly alert. Unknown, sir. It's not antimatter, not fusion, not anything in our database. Vex frowned. Keep scanning. I want to know what we are walking into. The human ship's docking bay opened smoothly to admit them, the atmospheric containment fields shimmering as they passed through. Once inside, the shuttle's sensors confirmed the atmosphere was breathable, if a bit heavy on nitrogen. Masks optional, but recommended, Vex announced. No telling what kind of bacteria these humans carry. When the shuttle doors opened, they were greeted by a small delegation of humans. Captain Donovan stood at the front, flanked by what appeared to be officers in similar but differently colored uniforms. Fleet Commander Torunn, Donovan said, extending one of his upper limbs. Welcome aboard the Horizon. Vex stared at the extended appendage, unsure of the protocol. It's called a handshake, Donovan explained. A greeting gesture among our people. Cautiously, Vex extended his own three-fingered hand and allowed the human to grasp it. The sensation was bizarre. The human's skin was warm and soft, lacking the proper texture of scales or exoskeleton. Charmed, Vex replied dryly. Now, if you don't mind, my team would like to begin their inspection while we discuss the formalities of your unexpected arrival. Donovan smiled, revealing flat, uniform teeth. Not a predator then, Vex noted with relief. Of course, we have prepared a conference room. If you will follow me. As they walked through the corridors of the human ship, Vex couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The design was functional, but with a strange aesthetic that prioritized curves and open spaces. Wasteful by Federation standards. Your ship is quite distinctive, Vex commented. Thank you, Donovan replied. She's our newest design, incorporating some recent breakthroughs in propulsion and material science. Yes, about that, Vex said. Our scanners detected some unusual energy signatures. Care to elaborate? Something flickered across Donovan's face. A brief tension that was quickly replaced by that same diplomatic smile. All in good time, Commander. I think you will find our technology quite interesting. The conference room was spacious, with a large oval table surrounded by chairs clearly designed for the human form. Donovan gestured for them to sit, and Vex was surprised to find the chairs automatically adjusted to accommodate his taller, broader frame. Impressive, he admitted reluctantly. We try to be accommodating, Donovan said. Now, I understand you have questions. So do we. Perhaps we could start with an exchange of basic information. Vex nodded. Standard procedure. Let's begin with your species' history, capabilities, and intentions in Federation space. The human captain activated a holographic display in the center of the table. Earth, our homeworld. Population approximately 10 billion. We achieved spaceflight roughly 150 years ago by your time measurement, and have been exploring our local star cluster for the past 50 years. Images floated above the table. A blue-green planet, cities that looked both primitive and advanced, and various humans engaged in activities Vex couldn't begin to comprehend. Only 50 years of space exploration, and you've already reached this sector? Mira asked, suspicion evident in her voice. That's remarkably fast progress. Donovan's smile tightened slightly. We are quick learners. I will say, Vex muttered. It took the Khazarians 3 centuries just to establish colonies in their own system. Perhaps we should discuss our propulsion technology, a new human voice suggested. Vex turned to see another human entering the room. This one was older, with silver fur on its head and face, wearing what appeared to be a less formal uniform. Fleet Commander, this is Dr. Abigail Turner, our chief scientist. Donovan introduced Dr. Turner nodded respectfully. The explanation for our rapid expansion lies in our drive system. We call it the full drive. She activated another holographic display, showing complex equations and diagrams that made even the Federation scientists in Vex Party lean forward with interest. Instead of traveling through space in the conventional sense, we fold space-time around our vessel, effectively bringing our destination to us rather than traveling to it. Vex scoffed. Impossible. Space folding technology has been theorized for centuries, but the energy requirements are substantial. Turner finished for him. Yes, that's where our other breakthrough comes in. The hologram shifted to show what looked like a massive chamber in the heart of the ship. Within it, suspended in some kind of containment field, was Vex stood up so abruptly he knocked his chair over. When the name of the cosmic void is that. Floating in the chamber was a creature that should not exist. It was massive, serpentine, with iridescent scales that shifted colors as it moved. Great wings were folded against its body, and its elongated head featured horns and spines that formed a natural crown. That, Captain Donovan said calmly, is what we call a dragon. Silence fell over the conference room. Vex felt as if the air had been sucked out of his lungs. Dragons are mythological creatures, Mira said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. They appear in the ancient legends of dozens of species across the galaxy. Stories dating back before spaceflight, before even recorded history. Yes, Dr. Turner agreed. We have discovered the same thing. Dragon myths appear in virtually every culture on Earth. What we never expected was to find that they were real. Vex found his voice at last. You expect us to believe that you have somehow captured a mythological beast and are using it to power your ships? Do you take us for fools? Donovan sighed. I understand your skepticism, Commander. I felt the same when we first discovered them. But the evidence is irrefutable. Dragons aren't native to Earth or to any known planet. They are interdimensional beings who can traverse space-time naturally. What Dr. Turner is trying to explain, another human scientist added, is that dragons were visitors to all our worlds thousands of years ago. They left impressions in our collective mythologies, then disappeared. We found them again, existing in the fold space between dimensions. Vex stared at the creature in the hologram. If what they were saying was true, you are telling me that you have enslaved interdimensional beings to power your ships? He asked, horror creeping into his voice. Captain Donovan's expression hardened. Not enslave, Commander. Partnered with. The dragons chose to work with us. They gained something from the relationship, just as we do. And what exactly do they gain? Vex demanded. The hologram shifted again, showing multiple dragons in what appeared to be specialized chambers throughout the ship. The ability to reproduce, Dr. Turner said simply. Dragons require specific energy conditions to lay and hatch their eggs. Conditions that occur naturally only once every few thousand years in fold space. Our technology creates those conditions artificially, allowing them to breed whenever they choose. Vex turned to his science officer. Is any of this remotely possible? The scientist, a brilliant Kalarian named Taz VYK, looked conflicted. Theoretically, yes. Interdimensional beings have been hypothesized, and the energy readings we detected could be consistent with, well, with something that doesn't conform to normal physics. Vex paced the conference room, his mind racing. If the humans were telling the truth, this changed everything. The Federation's most advanced ships would be rendered obsolete overnight. The balance of power would shift dramatically. I need to see this dragon, he declared. Not a hologram. The real thing. Captain Donovan exchanged glances with Dr. Turner, then nodded. Very well, but I should warn you, dragons are sensitive to energy patterns. Your emotional state will affect how they respond to you. Are you suggesting I can't control myself? Vex snapped. Not all, Donovan replied smoothly, merely providing information for a successful interaction. They left the conference room and proceeded deeper into the ship. Vex noticed the corridors becoming wider, the lighting changing subtly to a warmer spectrum. The dragons prefer these conditions, Dr. Turner explained, noticing his observation. Their sensory perception is quite different from most humanoid species. Finally, they reached a massive door labeled Primary Integration Chamber. Donovan placed his hand on a scanner. I should mention, he said casually, that Kora can understand everything we say. Kora? Mira asked, the dragon you are about to meet. She's the first one who made contact with humanity, something of a diplomat among her kind. The doors slid open, revealing a chamber that defied all Federation engineering principles. It was cavernous, with a ceiling that had to be at least 30 meters high. The walls curved organically, embedded with what appeared to be crystalline structures that pulsed with gentle light. And there, floating in the center of the chamber, was the dragon.I in person. She was even more magnificent than the hologram had shown. At least 20 meters from nose to tail tip, with scales that shifted between deep blue and purple as she moved. Her wings were partially extended, revealing membranous surfaces that somehow seemed both delicate and immensely strong. But it was her eyes that captured Vex's attention. Large, intelligent, with vertical pupils surrounded by irises that glowed with an inner golden light. Those eyes fixed on him now, and Vex had the unsettling sensation of being thoroughly examined. Not just physically, but down to his very essence. Kora, Captain Donovan said respectfully, these are representatives from the Galactic Federation. Fleet Commander Vex Torunn is leading their delegation. The dragon's head tilted slightly, those golden eyes never leaving Vex's face. Then, to his utter shock, a voice echoed in his mind. Your skepticism is understandable, Fleet Commander. Your kind has forgotten much in the millennia since we last visited your worlds. Vex staggered backward. She's telepathic? Not exactly, Dr. Turner said. It's more like directed thought transference. Dragons don't have vocal cords as we understand them. This is how they have always communicated with other species. The dragon, Kora, shifted position, gracefully moving closer to the edge of what Vex now realized was not a containment field, but some kind of interface between the dragon's natural environment and the ship's interior. You believe we are prisoners, Kora's thought voice continued, tinged with what seemed like amusement. That these humans have somehow trapped us for their benefit. The thought had occurred to me, Vex admitted, seeing no point in lying to a being that could apparently read his thoughts. Then allow me to dispel your concern. We dragons have existed in the fold space between dimensions since before your stars were born. We visited your worlds when your species were young, curious about the developing life forms. When your civilizations advanced enough to pose a threat to themselves and others, we withdrew. And now you are back, conveniently helping humans jump ahead centuries in technological development. Vex couldn't keep the suspicion from his voice. Kora's massive head nodded in what was a surprisingly human gesture. The humans discovered us by accident. Their early experiments with dimensional physics created ripples in fold space that attracted our attention. Of all the species we have encountered, they were the first to offer partnership rather than worship or fear. Convenient for them, Vex muttered. Indeed, Kora agreed, apparently untroubled by his skepticism. But also for us. The humans provide us with stable environments for our reproduction cycle, and in return, we help them travel the stars. It is symbiotic. Dr. Turner stepped forward. Commander, dragons like Kora aren't just our means of propulsion. They're our teachers, our guides to the wider universe. Without them, we'd still be fumbling with conventional faster-than-light drives. Vex looked from the humans to the dragon and back again. This was far beyond standard first contact protocols. The implications were staggering, not just for the Federation, but for the understanding of galactic history itself. If dragons had visited all their worlds in ancient times, if they truly were interdimensional beings with abilities that defied conventional physics, then every scientific and historical paradigm would need to be re-examined. I need to report this to Federation High Command, Vex said finally. This is unprecedented. Captain Donovan nodded. We understand. But before you go, Kora has a proposal she'd like to share. The dragon's golden eyes seemed to glow more intensely. For too long, we have watched the younger races struggle alone. The time has come for a new era of cooperation, not just between humans and dragons, but between all sentient species. We offer our knowledge and abilities to the Federation, just as we have to humanity. Vex felt the weight of history pressing down on him. Whatever he decided in this moment would change the course of galactic civilization forever. And what exactly would this cooperation entail? He asked carefully. The dragons would partner with any Federation species that wishes to advance their space travel capabilities, Donovan explained. In return, the Federation would help establish dragon hatching stations throughout the galaxy. Mira leaned close to Vex. Sir, if this is genuine, it would revolutionize everything. Travel, communication, possibly even energy production for entire planets. Vex nodded slowly. And if it's not genuine, if there's some hidden agenda here, then we have invited a Trojan horse into the heart of the Federation. She finished grimly. Kora's thought voice echoed in their minds again, though this time it seemed directed at everyone present. Your caution is wise, Fleet Commander. Trust must be earned. Perhaps a demonstration would help ease your concerns. Before Vex could ask what kind of demonstration the dragon meant, the chamber began to glow with increasing intensity. The crystalline structures in the walls pulsed in rhythm with what Vex somehow knew was Kora's heartbeat. What's happening? He demanded, reaching for his sidearm. Captain Donovan held up a hand reassuringly. It's okay. Kora is going to show you something. Just watch. The center of the chamber seemed to ripple, as if reality itself was becoming fluid. Within that ripple, images began to form, not projected holograms, but what appeared to be actual windows into other places or times. Vex saw his homeworld, but not as it was now. He saw it as it had been thousands of years ago, when his ancestors were still living in primitive tribal groups. And there, soaring above the ancient forests, were dragons, different from Kora, but unmistakably the same species. The vision shifted, showing other worlds, dozens of them, each with their own ancient civilizations, each with dragons moving among them. In some visions, the primitive species were creating cave paintings or sculptures of the dragons. In others, they were building temples or offering sacrifices. We were there, Kora's voice explained as the images flowed. At the dawn of your civilizations, some of you worshipped us as gods. Others feared us as monsters. A few, the wisest, sought to learn from us. But as your technologies advanced, as you began to hunt us for our scales or blood, or simply out of fear, we withdrew to the safety of fold space. The images disappeared, and the chamber returned to normal. Vex realized he had been holding his breath. Was that real? He asked. Or some kind of induced hallucination? Real, Dr. Turner said firmly. Dragons can manipulate space-time to show echoes of the past. They perceive time differently than we do. Convenient that they can show us visions that support their claims, with no way to verify them. Vex pointed out that Kora's thought voice held a hint of what might have been amusement. Your historical records and mythologies will contain the verification you seek, Fleet Commander. The dragons in your ancient stories did not appear identically across worlds by coincidence. Vex straightened his uniform, trying to regain his composure. I will need to consult with my superiors before proceeding further. This is far beyond my authority to decide. Of course, Captain Donovan agreed. We anticipated as much. We are prepared to remain here while you make your report. As they left the chamber, Vex couldn't shake the feeling that they had just witnessed the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. Whether the chapter would lead to unprecedented advancement or unforeseen disaster remained to be seen. What do you think? He asked Mira as they walked back toward their shuttle. I think, she replied thoughtfully, that the Federation just became much more interesting. And miles away, in the heart of the human ship, Kora watched them go, her ancient eyes gleaming with anticipation of what was to come. The return journey to the Federation flagship felt interminable to Vex. His mind buzzed with implications, possibilities, and, though he'd never admit it, a touch of fear. The shuttle's cramped cabin suddenly seemed suffocating. "Sir," Mira ventured, breaking the tense silence. "How exactly do you plan to explain all this to High Command?" "Hello, we have met humans who have partnered with mythological space dragons doesn't exactly roll off the tongue." Vex snorted. "I was thinking more along the lines of prepare for immediate retirement, because I have clearly lost my mind. Might be more believable." The shuttle docked with a gentle thud. Vex took a deep breath, straightening his uniform with a sharp tug. "Record everything," he instructed the science team. "Every scan, every reading, every observation. I want incontrovertible evidence when I contact High Command, and if they don't believe us anyway." Jax asked, his antennae drooping with anxiety. "Then we will be sharing fascinating stories in the psychiatric ward together," Vex replied dryly. "Now move." Back on the command deck of the Eternal Vigilance, Vex ordered all non-essential personnel to their quarters. Whatever happened next, he wanted to minimize the spread of potentially destabilizing information. "Secure channel to High Command," he ordered the communications officer. "Priority Alpha." The massive view screen flickered, then displayed the stern visage of High Admiral Locke Perrin. Her scaled face showed immediate concern. Priority Alpha calls were reserved for imminent threats to the Federation. "Fleet Commander Torunn," she acknowledged, her voice crisp with authority. "Explain." Vex took a deep breath. "Admiral, we have made first contact with a previously unknown species called humans. But that's not the primary reason for my call." He nodded to Taz, who transmitted the scan data and recordings from the horizon. "Their ships are powered by, well, there's no easy way to say this. Dragons, Admiral. Interdimensional beings that match the ancient myths shared across dozens of Federation worlds." Admiral Perrin's expression didn't change, but the slight twitch of her left eye ridge betrayed her disbelief. "Dragons," she repeated flatly. "You're telling me that bedtime stories are now powering alien spacecraft." "I had the same reaction, Admiral," Vex admitted. "But the evidence is compelling. These beings can manipulate space-time naturally. They created a symbiotic relationship with the humans, allowing for technology centuries beyond what should be possible for their development stage." The Admiral studied the transmitted data silently for several minutes. The command deck was so quiet Vex could hear the soft hum of the environmental systems. "Verification code Epsilon 793, she finally said. Vex blinked in surprise. "Admiral, that's the authentication code for a priority Obsidian scenario, Fleet Commander. Input it into your secure terminal." Vex moved to his private console and entered the code. Immediately, a flood of classified files appeared. Documents so restricted he hadn't even known they existed. "What you are seeing," Admiral Perrin explained, her voice now deadly serious, "are classified reports spanning back nearly 500 years. Unexplained sightings, anomalous energy signatures, temporal disturbances, all cataloged and buried by successive administrations." Vex scanned the files with growing astonishment. "You knew? The Federation has known about dragons all this time." "Not known," the Admiral corrected. "Suspected. Theorized. There have been incidents throughout our history that defied conventional explanation. The scientific consensus deemed interdimensional entities the most probable cause, but without concrete evidence, it remained theoretical. Until now," Vex said, looking up from the console. "Until now," Admiral Perrin agreed grimly. "These humans have accomplished what our best scientists could only hypothesize. The question is, what do they intend to do with this power?" "They are proposing an alliance," Vex explained. "They claim the dragons wish to establish a relationship with all sentient species, not just humans." The Admiral's scales darkened with skepticism. How altruistic of them. And what do these humans gain from sharing their advantage? "That's unclear," Vex admitted. Though if dragons truly visited all our worlds in ancient times, perhaps they feel some responsibility to ensure balanced development. Or perhaps they're using these dragons to infiltrate the Federation and gain access to our resources, Admiral Perrin countered. Interdimensional beings with mind-to-mind communication capabilities? The security implications alone are staggering. Vex couldn't argue with that logic. Despite the awe-inspiring encounter with Kora, his natural caution remained. "What are your orders, Admiral?" "Maintain position. Keep the humans contained but comfortable. I'm dispatching a science division vessel with specialized equipment to verify these claims independently. Until they arrive, learn what you can without making commitments. And if the dragons are exactly what they appear to be..." Admiral Perrin's expression softened slightly. "Then, Commander, we may be witnessing the dawn of a new age for the Federation. Or its end. The Council will have to decide which." The transmission ended, leaving Vex staring at a blank screen. "Well," Mira said from behind him, "that went better than expected. At least she didn't order us to report for psychological evaluation." "Not yet," Vex muttered. He straightened and turned to address his officers. "You heard the Admiral. We maintain position and continue information gathering. Mira, prepare to return to the human vessel. This time, bring our best xenobiologists and physics specialists." "Do we tell the humans about the classified files?" she asked quietly.